Good evening, everyone. This is the Red Hook Town Board meeting of December 22nd, 2021. Would you be kind enough to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Tonight we have two items on the agenda.
I think so, yeah. Right. Oh, now I hear it.
Okay. For the folks at home, this is tonight's agenda. A third public hearing on short-term rentals. And we'll be discussing the local law. It's proposed G3. We also have a bond resolution to purchase a highway dump truck with Plow, and just some correspondence and an adjournment. So very good. It is 7:36 as a matter of fact. And so at this time, I would like.
That's great. Thank you. I'm sorry, you put powder in it?
Dennis, could you please mute everyone? Folks, if you would mute yourselves, so we can get started. Okay.
All right, I'm going to let Robert come back in.
Dennis, thanks very much. Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
And all in favor, Jacob Testa. Is Jacob unmuted?
Jacob's muted again.
Dennis, would you unmute
Hey.
Jacob?
He's got it.
Okay. And Bill Hamill?
Aye.
Okay, thanks very much. And Deanna, would you be kind enough to read the public hearing notice?
Notice of public hearing, Town of Red Hook. Please take notice that a continued public hearing will be held by the Town Board of the Town of Red Hook on December 22nd, 2021 at 7:35 p.m. local time to hear all interested persons on an amended proposed local law number G3 proposed of 2021, entitled A Local Law to Establish a New Chapter 112 of the Code of the Town of Red Hook to be known as Short-Term Rentals, and to amend Chapter 143 of the Code of the Town of Red Hook entitled Zoning regarding short-term rentals and home occupations, to establish new regulations regarding permits for short-term rentals, and to amend the Town of Red Hook zoning law in order to adequately regulate short-term rental uses. The town board has classified the action as a type 1 action and declared its intent to serve as lead agency for the matter. Please take further notice that copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the Town Hall, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York, 12571. Due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, the Town Hall is closed to the general public except by appointment until further notice. Pursuant to New York laws of 2021, Chapter 417, the public will not be permitted to attend in person. Board members are expected to participate in the public hearing via teleconference or video conference. Please refer to the meeting agenda to be posted on the town website at www.redhook.org, listing the specific link which will allow the public to view and listen to the proceedings live, which is expected to be available at www.pandatv23.org. Click on Watch Live. Project documents will be posted with the meeting agenda on the town's website. All interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard as follows. 1, the public is encouraged to submit written comments by email or telephone in advance of the hearing to townclerk@redhook.org and 845-758-4606 by 4:00 p.m. the day of the hearing. Please note local law number G3 proposed of 2021 in the subject. 2, written comments may be dropped in the town's Dropbox in advance of the hearing at the Town Hall, 7340 South Broadway, Red Hook, New York, 12571 by 4:00 PM the day of the hearing. Please observe the recommendations of the CDC regarding distancing and use of masks. All comments so received in advance of the hearing will be noted in the hearing record. 3, interested persons may register in advance to participate remotely via Zoom. To register, please send your email, name, and telephone number to townclerk@redhook.org by 4:00 PM on the day of the hearing. Persons interested in speaking at the hearing via Zoom should so indicate in their registration email to the town clerk. All reasonable accommodations will be made for persons with disabilities. In such a case, please notify the town clerk in advance of the above address or by phone 845-758-4606 so that arrangements can be made. By order of the town board of the town of Red Hook dated December 14th, 2021, Deanna Cochran, town clerk, town of Red Hook.
Thanks very much, Deanna. For tonight, I'm going to dispense with the slides. If you've been at the previous 2 public hearings, you've seen just a few slides that outline the basics of the proposed legislation. Suffice it to say, we did make some minor adjustments to the proposed law last meeting. The most important of which is we included the ability to allow for hosted 1-bedrooms in all districts for up to 210 days. And the proposed legislation is on the town's website. You need to refer to it while we have this public hearing. Okay, very good. So we do have some speakers who have signed up. And Dennis, we'll do this the same way we did last time. For the folks at home, if you would go down to on the Zoom feature reactions and then click there, and you'll see a button that says raise the hand. And as Dennis calls out your name, if you would raise your hand just so he can see where you are, and he will ask you to unmute yourself. Just a reminder, rules for the public hearings established some 10, now 11 years ago, call for 3-minute limits, and that's to ensure that everyone has a chance to speak. Okay, very good. Who do we have first tonight, Dennis?
I see Lisa Murray had confirmed to speak, but I don't see her anywhere on this list.
Who's next up then? And we'll come to Lisa.
Vicky Perry as well. I don't see Vicky.
Okay. All right. Next
but,
up.
Bob Scopala is here, so
Okay.
I'll ask Bob to unmute.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
Just like everybody else, stressed out with a bunch of friends and family either have COVID or are quarantining or have to be concerned because of having been in close proximity and a timeline that's going to inhibit their holiday. I really feel that this is at this time, this making a decision right now is inappropriate. If I had the authority to make a motion to adjourn, I would, but I don't think I do. It's unbelievable that you would take this time during holidays, pandemic, to take advantage. There's people that maybe can't even be on this call because they're traveling or tending to others. I don't know, but I just find it kind of despicable. This can't wait till after the holidays. And this, because this curve is gonna change very shortly, right? I mean, it did in Africa.
It is changed.
It has changed.
We're having a surge and it's going to go down in February.
Right. It'll be this new surge will be over in February. I don't see the urgency.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. I guess my time's up.
Okay. And just a reminder for the folks at home, The law as proposed allows for 6 months for residents to come into compliance with the law. Next up,
Emily Sachar.
Emily, are you with us?
I don't see
I don't see her. Okay.
Emily there.
Next up,
Adrian Truscott is there.
Am I next?
Yep.
Oh, okay, thank you. I don't know what the, I would like this to not count as my 3 minutes. I know that Vicky and Emily both wanted other people to speak on their behalf because they couldn't be here tonight. I don't know if there's a system for that, but that was their intention.
There isn't Adrian, I'm sorry,
Okay.
but they did send in written thoughts.
So there's no way that I could say my piece and then say theirs.
It doesn't work that way, you can imagine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I spoke a couple of weeks ago and made my own support of STRs as I think elegant and efficient and preservative means of serving dual purposes in this community. But what tonight I would also like to address the timing. COVID is not over. We are in the middle of a pandemic. And as an example, as a person, I offer this as a way to expand your ideas of how people are surviving this moment. As a person in the performing arts, last year, my partner and I lost a year's worth of booked work in a week. We didn't have access to our regular work for over a year. If you figure in the way touring actually works, that's actually about 3 years of anticipated work. We pivoted, used our ingenuity and a sense of community to produce some income and some control, and Airbnb was part of that. Now we're back in the midst of this. I've just had 8 more shows canceled with no notice or compensation. Airbnb is again, for the moment, my main source of securable income. And how anyone or anybody with secure housing, food, and income can do anything, really, truly, to limit someone else's means of fiscal survival right now, in this moment, I find truly unconscionable and mean-spirited. There's no PUA right now. There's no rent relief. There's absolutely nothing to be gained in the very immediate future by passing this law. And in fact, for me, throws into fairly questionable logic the concern around affordable housing and the issues that surround it. This could very possibly, I don't understand why we can't delay this law 1 to 2 years so that people who are already experiencing housing and income precarity and even food scarcity, these are ways in which this makes those ends meet. I really don't understand why there is such urgency on this when so many people are suffering and panicking out of their minds.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Adrian. Next.
So Norm Gregg, I can ask to unmute here.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's
Yes.
No worries, Norm. We can hear you.
yeah, I worry that the town spends a lot of time thinking about where people live and not addressing livelihood. How do I say it? When it doesn't matter whether you have a home office for an attorney or someone doing carpentry in their garage, or they decide to make a guest. It's a way to get by when times are hard, and it's just another home occupation. It has very little impact on the community except for the person who's actually doing it, and that person. It's hard work hosting people in your. And to take away that opportunity at this time just seems inappropriate. And it's not going to free up affordable housing. What frees up affordable housing is to ease the regulations a little so people can live and work in the town of Red Hook. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Norman. Who's next on the list?
That's it from the confirmed speakers list.
Well, we have Lisa
No.
Murray on.
No, you had
Lisa Murray and Sarlotta.
Oh, Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lisa has joined us.
Sarolta. I don't,
Thank you. Am I next or I'm Charlotte, I'm Sarah. Yeah, I'm speaking for Vicky Perry.
Okay,
Can I go? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
you get 3 minutes.
Yeah. Since I cannot attend the December 22, 21 hearing, I submit these thoughts for your discussion on the latest December 14th draft of Local Law G. The Hudson Valley, as a result of the pandemic and the broad appeal of the region, is experiencing a unique moment in terms of influx movement from urban areas. Everyone agrees that we don't want housing stock to be monetized in a soulless fashion. Regressive design. On December 14th, 21, the Red Hook Town Board noted it is inconsistent for R35 to be limited to 120 days when a hosted one-bedroom rental duration is unlimited. The board's solution is to place a random limit on a hosted one-bedroom STR. I have asked repeatedly for data that informs the design of Local Law G, not national trends, but local data relevant to our conversation. Since that has not been forthcoming, I provide some data here. The average STR bedroom generates $100 per night to the property owner. The current G3 revision creates this set of incomes. A one-bedroom hosted STR will maximize revenue at $21,000 per year. And our R3 home will generate over twice as much, $48,000 per year. A farm stay will enjoy income 14 times greater at $292,000. As shown, the larger STRs, especially the farm stays, have the potential to produce incomes that are nearly 14 times what the one-bedroom operator can produce. Why does the board let farm stays rent 365 days a year, while at the same time seeking a consistent set of limits between R3 to R5s and the hamlets? It is curious that if farm stays have indeed been allowed for 10 years, no new limits are proposed for this class, unlike all the other zones. Why? The argument was made on December 14th that granting an unlimited privilege is not rational. But why then do farm stays remain unlimited? Doesn't AGB district land already enjoy significant property tax compensations and credits that others don't enjoy? Yet still the G3 draft supports unlimited income potential for farm stays. Taking into account that all STRs must pay similar upkeep expenses despite different sizes, the draft law is even more regressive. Affordable lodging, as Supervisor McKeon says, is an issue perhaps even more important than affordable housing because of simple supply and demand. The 210 days limit will cause the one-bedroom STR rates to go up.
Sarah, your time is up,
My
but
time is up, and I think she sent it in. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
thank you.
it's going to be read into the record anyway.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
Okay, now we don't have anybody on the.
Well, I thought Lisa Murray joined us. We called her name. She wasn't on before, but I think she's on now.
Okay, and she's unmuted already, so.
Okay, Lisa, are you joining us to speak tonight?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I have several questions. I know this has been going on for several years, and I guess my major question right now is, first of all, why? I feel like we're getting disciplined for something that hasn't happened yet. I would not do that to my children to say, okay, I'm going to discipline you before you do anything wrong. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, why are you picking December, which is the busiest month of the year, to put this forward to a vote when we're running around doing Christmas stuff. I am anyway, and very hard to get onto meetings and to talk to other people that would definitely be on this call if they weren't in their holiday spirit and wrapping presents and buying the last thing. So that is my questions. I just feel that this is such a wrong decision to make for the Red Hook town. We are a bustling, lovely little town, and we have no place to stay. There is no place to stay in Red Hook. We have one bedroom upstairs that we use, and other people have houses. We should be asking people to come into our town to spend their money to help us to pay for these taxes that are so high, instead of having any kind of rules or regulations or anything like that, because nothing has happened yet. We got one person that's talking about walking on their lawn. I mean, I really have not heard any problems on these calls of what is going on with an Airbnb. We've already discussed how people are going to make their properties look better. It's the win-win situation. So why is this going on? Why now? I know you've been meeting for 2 years, which I had no idea. Why can't we meet? Why couldn't we not met in person in July when everybody was opening up? Why couldn't we use the town hall or the auditorium to have people come in from the community to discuss what's going on in their lives, and instead of being on Zoom? There's just a lot of questions that I have. So I hope you take this very, very, very seriously, because I think that you will all be doing a huge disservice to our town to have these rules and regulations on people that are using it as helping other people come to this community to spend money, and also to help them to survive what, some people need it. I use it for paying my taxes. So it's just a small business for me, but for other people, it's a livelihood. And I think you're all doing the wrong thing here by
Lisa.
regulating stuff that's all done.
Okay, Lisa, thank
Thank
you.
you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, is there anyone else who's signed up to speak tonight? Okay, would anybody before we close the public hearing, would anybody else like to speak who hasn't had a chance to speak tonight? If you would kindly go down to reactions, there's a little bar that says raise hand, and we'll give it a minute if you'd like to speak. While we're waiting, Deanna, if you're there, we did receive some written communications that'll be a part of the record. If you'd be kind enough just to read off the few names that we did get. We have Deanna unmuted. Dennis, can we get Deanna unmuted if she's not?
Carl Hoyt,
Okay.
Vicky Perry, Marguerite Cook, Greg Salisbury, Diane Berardi.
Very good. Thank you very much, Deanna. Has anybody raised their hand? Okay, it seems as if we've received all the public comments for tonight. I'm sorry, is there somebody? Okay, I don't see a hand raised. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill Hamel. All in favor, Christine Kane,
Aye.
Jacob Testa?
Aye.
Okay, very good. We have some additional seeker work we need to do. Chris Shaw, would you be kind enough to walk us through that, please?
Sure. So we have at a prior meeting reviewed an environmental assessment form and a CAF for this proposed law. We went through that in detail. We looked at a part 2, and Michelle walked us through that. And we also looked at a part 3 neg deck, and Michelle also walked us through that. So I think we discussed that in fairly great detail at the last meeting. We also, I believe, Michelle walked us through the LWRP findings that the planning board had made. So I guess I would ask, do any of the board members need to review that again or have questions about the discussion that you had at the last meeting?
I don't. Any, Bill, Christine, Jacob?
No.
Okay.
So otherwise, you could determine to, I guess the next step would be to consider whether you approve the LWRP findings that you reviewed at the prior meeting.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve those.
It's
There-
just the LWRP.
The
the
LWRP
coastal-
Mhm.
and the CAF we reviewed.
Okay. Second,
All in favor, Jacob Testa? Did we lose Jacob? Christine?
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Yep.
Okay. Bill Hamel?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. We have, we reviewed the neg deck, and we do have a resolution to approve it. Does anybody have any questions about the neg deck since the last meeting?
no.
Okay. I believe this is resolution number 87, and Christine Shaw, would you be kind enough to walk us through that as well?
Sure. The neg deck resolution recites the procedures that were followed for seeker review, including that the town went and indicated it's intended to serve as lead agency, that the EAF and CAF were reviewed and prepared, and that a part 2 of the EAF was reviewed, and that a draft notice of determination of non-significance that we refer to as the neg deck was also reviewed. That neg deck supports a determination that the proposed action would not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. And the board received a recommendation from the planning board to the indicating that their finding was that the proposed law was consistent with the town's LWRP, that the town has reviewed the local law and its consistency with the LWRP, and has also reviewed the planning board's finding of consistency. And so the resolution concludes with adoption of a negative declaration and authorizing the clerk to distribute those.
Very good. Would somebody like to move resolution number 87?
So moved.
Thank you, Christine. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill Hamel. All in favor, myself, Jacob Testa?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay. We now have resolution number 88, which is a resolution to approve the local law. And before we go ahead and do so, would any of the town board members like to make some comments?
I'll start. I just wanted to say, well, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to either prepare or prepare written comments and attend the 3 public hearings to present information. It was very helpful. I do not host, so I'm not familiar with, the operations of how that would work. So that was very helpful for me to hear and learn more about. Generally, I would say there's 3 points that have really stuck out for me during the course of the working on the law as well as the public hearings. And the first one is that, the point of working on this is because we realize that we do have active Airbnbs in the community, and that they are currently not allowed under a zoning ordinance, which makes them illegal technically. And if we were to decide to wait on this law, as many people have asked, for 1 or 2 years, all of those operations would have to stop, because we now know where they are, and we know everybody's aware that they're illegal. So we cannot really turn a blind eye to that. The second thing that was very eye-opening for me was a comment that we received regarding building codes and insurance. And that, the writer's comment was that many people may not realize that their homeowner's insurance does not cover them for something like an Airbnb. And, God forbid that something should ever happen, that they could be not, find themselves not covered. And so if we pass this law, that would be a first step towards making those activities legal, so that they potentially could, upgrade insurance or change insurance or whatever the steps would be, so that coverage is appropriate for that type of use. Well, there was a third one, but I lost it. Maybe I'll come back in if I think of it again. Sorry.
Thanks, Chris. Okay. Jacob Testa.
Too much more to add than what Christine said. I just wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to participate, to share your thoughts. I know we made some changes that I think address some of the concerns that were brought up at the first and second public hearings. And I, want to encourage people to just keep being engaged, keep, following what's happening in local government. I think it's really important that we hear from people as we're moving forward with things, because that's the only way that we can make sure that we're doing something that is a little bit more tailored to what's actually happening in our communities and what is going to have an impact on people. So, like I said, I want to thank everybody for doing that with respect to this law, and encourage you to keep doing that in the future.
Thanks very much, Jacob. That's a good opportunity to once again remind folks that we revamped our website a few years back to provide for notifications. And those notifications include agenda topics, and they can be sent to either your email or directly to you as a text. Okay, Bill Hammond.
Robert, before Bill starts, can I just add my third point, which was that
it came back. Yeah,
came back to me. Sorry.
No worries.
That running the Airbnbs is a business activity in residential zones in most cases, and so in several districts it is not an allowed use. Lodging is not an allowed use. So once again, if we are to pass this law, that would legalize the activity and spell out, which zones it's allowed in and how often it is allowed. I know that a lot of people who are hosting have spoken very well about the people that use their Airbnb services, and that's wonderful. And I know that we obviously we have 70 some Airbnbs active now, so people are using them and people are coming here, and we know that we do not have a large hotel or anything like that. So it is an important opportunity within our community. However, it's often difficult, and we have heard from neighbors who do not feel that they have to bear the burden of dealing with neighbors who either hosted or unhosted do these types of uses in their homes or in their neighborhoods. So it is important to realize that we have to take the whole community into consideration with when we pass laws like this, or laws in general. I think we all know that sometimes people are afraid to come out. They don't want to make trouble in their neighborhood with people that they had to see and live next to every day. A few people have spoken out about their concerns for that at the meetings and in written comments that we have received. So I just want, people to know that we are aware of those comments also.
Thank you, Christine. Bill Hamel?
Well, I will echo all of what Christine and Jacob said. I agree with them, and I thank everybody. I want people to know I've probably worked on this longer than a lot of people because I was on the intermunicipal task force as the planning board's representative prior to becoming elected to the town board. And we've been researching, looking at this issue for over 3.5 years. And it actually is a more difficult issue than people make it out to be. And I've read many, many different ordinances from many communities around the country. It's not easy for any of those communities to deal with this issue because, like many new businesses that emerge that are sort of unique and unusual to the normal paradigms that we're used to, there's an adjustment. But many of the things, especially what Christine talked about, we have residential neighborhoods. They were zoned to be residential, not to have gas stations and other kinds of businesses in them, and people move to them for that purpose. And then we also have the alternative issues that were talked about, what are called home occupations. And so I don't think this is unique to Red Hook to be grappling with a hard issue that affects people. But I think the most important thing to me is that I'm uncomfortable that we have about 68 people, residences that have been doing, we get host compliance from the county, doing this, and it's not legal. And they're at their own peril. And should a tragedy occur, it would be a terrible thing for them, for anybody who's affected by that. And it would be really a terrible thing for our town. And there have been tragedies around the country. If you Google, you'll see some bad things have happened. And I'm not talking about, parties. I'm talking about, people getting hurt, and things happening because fire, smoke detectors or CO2 detectors weren't functional. And I really think that this was such a quickly emerging issue that it took a while for communities to get used to the idea of having to look at it in the context of their own zoning laws, in the context of how business are regulated in their community. And I'm grateful that we're actually making it legal for people to do. I think it's an important thing for us to do. The dearth of lodging that we have here is quite obvious. And for the ability for people to do this and to provide that kind of lodging is a wonderful thing. So I know people want us to put this off, but as Christine said, and it was the thought balloon over my head, which is, if we were to say put it off, then everybody has to put it off and stop doing it. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. I am very grateful for the comments and the input that we got. And I'm grateful for the hard work that everybody's done on this. And I think it's time to get moving. And then at the same time, I also want people to know that we're a nimble town board. And if things come up in the future that need adjustments, I'm highly confident, and I've said this in other contexts, I'm highly confident that we can address those and move quickly to do those kinds of things. So I'm not, I don't believe that the passing of a law, if we do pass it, if that passes the vote, I think that we'll be able to make adjustments if necessary. So I appreciate the time, and that's all I'm going to say.
Thanks, Bill. I'll say a few words. I'm sure I already have said a few words over the course of the several meetings on the topic, but just a reminder for folks that what we're trying to do is strike a balance between the interests of protecting neighborhoods, protecting neighbors, and opening up opportunities for our residents as well, supporting tourism and businesses that might benefit from the tourism. At the same time, making sure that what we're not doing is essentially taking all these residential zoning districts where B&Bs are not allowed, and then making them essentially unregulated B&Bs where the commercial activity occurs throughout. So striking that balance is a challenge, obviously, and we're looking at things like affordable housing and whether or not a small housing unit gets taken up by an STR. On the other hand, we're looking at our existing residents that mean so much to us. And I see some of the folks that spoke tonight are dedicated volunteers in our community and critical to the operations of any small municipality. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of any community. And so when folks were speaking about, what we can do to assist in making sure that they could pay their taxes, we wanted to make sure that we allowed for enough opportunity for everyone throughout the town in order to accomplish that. And someone very wisely said, well, could you figure out how much the average taxes is and then figure out how much an STR opportunity might add? And in fact, I think Vicki Perry did some calculations in her head and on paper. And I think we've successfully done that. I think if you look at what the objective is, which is to allow this as an accessory use to residential, not a replacement for residential, you'll see that we should have accomplished that for everyone. We spoke in the beginning about having various zoning districts where STRs would be more appropriate, where they would be less appropriate. And in fact, we think this legislation accomplishes that. So for those reasons, and I want to thank everybody for their input over the course of the months and certainly over the years. I know we had a public info session now 2.5 years ago almost, and all of the written comments. And I would echo what Bill says and what Christine said. We can take a look. We have modified any legislation that we've passed, and we will continue to do so as it rolls out if we find that it needs to be modified. Okay. Very good. We do have resolution number 88. It is a resolution to approve a local law G3 proposed of 2021. And Christine Shaw, would you be kind enough to just give us the headline for that resolution, please?
Sure. So this resolution recites the procedures that preceded the consideration of the resolution of adoption and indicates the public hearings that the town board has held and the documents that have been provided to the town board as part of the recommendations, including the planning board's recommendations that were reviewed by the town board and the county planning department's recommendations that were also reviewed by the town board. And the local law G3 revised form based on the public hearings that were held and the additional town board review. And so after the consideration and deliberation as to all of those items, the resolution provides for adoption of the local law G3, which would become local law 6, and the filing with the Secretary of State and so forth as required by law.
Okay, very good. Who would like to move local law now 6 of 2021?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Bill Hamel. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine Kane. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, Jacob Testa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Again, thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate all of your input. And as we said before, we'll continue to monitor the situation and make any adjustments as necessary. Okay, very good. We have a second item on the agenda, which is a bond resolution for the purchase of a highway dump truck and plow. And so let's see if we can get that up on the screen for you. Okay. All right. Documents. Get that. Okay. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Here's the bond resolution. It's now resolution number 89. It's authorizing the issuance of serial bonds of the town of Red Hook in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed 200,000 pursuant to local finance law to acquire a dump truck at a maximum estimated cost of $270,000 and delegating certain powers in connection therewith to the town supervisor. As we've heard from the highway superintendent, it's time to order another truck to replace the 2001. And so if we order it now, we expect it'll come in sometime 12 months or later. Our first payment will be due in 2023, at which time the existing serial bonds will have all been paid off. And so after the permissive period, approximately a month, we'll be able to go ahead and make that purchase.
Actually, in this case, because this is
Serial.
a 5-year
Right.
borrowing, there is not a waiting period, right? There is just the estoppel period. Right.
Exactly, the estoppel. Okay, very good. Any questions, any comments? Okay, if not, resolution number 89, and I so move.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you, Jacob. And any questions? All in favor? Christine Kane,
Aye.
Bill Hamel.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, that concludes most of the business tonight. I did want to make one other announcement before wishing you all a wonderful holiday season. The town has obtained some home test kits via New York State, coming through Dutchess County Department of Community and Behavioral Health. We had a distribution today at Town Hall. We expect to get more home rapid test kits in the near future being maybe at the beginning of January, and continuing throughout January. There's a push both on the state and federal level to make sure that each and every household that needs them can obtain them. Right now, what we're doing is we're handing out test kits, making sure that each household gets one. So if you were able to participate today, we'll be working to ensure that everyone who needs one, who hasn't yet had one, can get one at our next pickup day. So once again, if you would sign up for notifications, www.redhook.org, at the top there, it says notify me. We can let you know as soon as we have the next distribution. Is there anything else anybody has that they'd like to share? If not, I want to wish on behalf of the entire town board, all of you a healthy and happy holidays, and we'll see you again in January. I'll now make a motion to close the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. All in favor, Jacob Testa,
Aye.
Bill Hamel,
Aye.